The courtroom air hung thick with a scent of polished oak and stale coffee, a suffocating blend that clawed at my throat as I stared at the judge's gavel poised like an executioner's axe. My parents, my own flesh and blood, sat across the aisle, their faces masks of feigned regret, but I could see the glint in Mom's eyes, that same predatory spark she'd flash when closing a real estate deal. They were suing to evict me from the family home I'd poured my soul into renovating. Also, my golden child sister, Emily, could own her first home without lifting a finger. And there, in the witness box, my 7-year-old son, Tommy, fidgeted with his tiny tie, his wide eyes darting between me and the strangers who'd birthed me. The judge leaned forward, her voice soft but probing. "Tommy, do you understand why we're here today?" He nodded, his voice a fragile whisper that shattered the room. "Because Grandma and Grandpa want to take our house so Aunt Emily can have it. But why don't they love Mommy anymore?" The silence that followed was a gut punch, raw and unrelenting, as tears burned paths down my cheeks. In that moment, fury ignited in my chest. Not just anger, but a scorching betrayal that twisted my heart into something unrecognizable. How had it come to this? I replayed the nightmare in my mind as I drove home that afternoon, the eviction notice clutched in my white-knuckled grip like a venomous snake. The house on Elm Street had been my sanctuary since Dad handed me the keys 5 years ago, after my divorce from Mark left me and Tommy scraping by. "It's yours to fix up," he'd said, his calloused hand on my shoulder, eyes crinkling with what I'd mistaken for pride. I'd believed him, poured every spare dollar into sanding floors warped by decades of neglect, painting walls that whispered ghosts of childhood laughter, planting a garden where Tommy could chase fireflies under summer stars. It wasn't just bricks and mortar. It was my redemption, proof I could rebuild after Mark's affair shattered our life. But now, evicted. For Emily, the prodigal daughter who'd flitted through college on their dime, only to return with empty hands and entitled dreams. That night, as Tommy slept fitfully in his race car bed, I paced the creaking hallway, the wood groaning under my bare feet like accusations. Heartbreak clawed at me. How could they do this? Mom, with her perfectly coiffed hair and pearl earrings, had always favored Emily, the delicate one who needed coddling while I, the eldest, was expected to tough it out. Dad, stoic and silent, had enabled it all, his wallet opening wider for her whims. Resentment bubbled up, hot and bitter, mingling with guilt. Was I overreacting? They'd promised it was temporary, a loan of the property until Emily got on her feet. But the lawsuit, that was a knife in the back, twisted with legal jargon about verbal agreements and family investments. I sank onto the couch, the fabric worn from countless movie nights with Tommy, and let the tears come. Humiliation burned, neighbors whispering, friends pitying. And beneath it, a seed of obsession took root. They would pay for this. The next morning, sunlight filtered through the kitchen curtains like mocking fingers, illuminating the stack of court documents on the table. Tommy slurped his cereal, oblivious to the storm raging in my chest. "Mommy, are we moving?" he asked, milk dribbling down his chin. I forced a smile, my voice steady despite the tremor in my soul. "Not if I can help it, buddy." But inside, denial cracked like thin ice. I called my lawyer, Sarah, her voice crackling over the phone like static electricity. "We can appeal, Lisa, but it's an uphill battle. Your parents claim the house was never truly gifted." Uphill. Felt like scaling Everest barefoot. As I hung up, fantasies flickered, storming into their pristine suburban mansion, screaming truths they'd buried. But no, that was too raw, too impulsive. Revenge needed precision, a scalpel, not a sledgehammer. Emily called that afternoon, her voice saccharine sweet, dripping with false sympathy. "Sis, I hate that it's come to this. Mom and Dad just want what's best for everyone." I gripped the phone, nails digging into my palm. "Best for you, you mean? You've always gotten everything handed to you." Silence stretched, taut as a wire. "That's not fair, Lisa. I've struggled too." Struggled. While I worked double shifts as a nurse, she'd backpacked Europe on their credit card. Suppressed rage simmered. I could hear the manipulation in her pauses, the way she twisted words like Mom taught her. Just drop the suit, we can work this out. But she sighed theatrical. It's out of my hands now. Blick. The line went dead, and with it, any lingering doubt. They were united against me. Days blurred into a haze of packing boxes and whispered doubts. The house echoed with memories. Tommy's first steps on the living room rug, now threadbare. The Christmas tree where Dad had once hung ornaments with us, his laughter booming. Heartbreak morphed into obsession as I scrolled through old photos on my phone. Each one a dagger. Why me? Why always the sacrificial lamb? Inner thoughts warred. Part of me yearned for reconciliation, a hallmark ending where apologies flowed like wine. But another voice, colder, whispered, make them regret it. I started small, strategic. Researching their finances online, I uncovered Dad's real estate empire built on shady deals, corners cut in inspections. Subtle hints emerged. A disgruntled former partner venting on forums. Fear flickered, was I crossing a line? But resentment drowned it out. At the appeal hearing, tension coiled like a spring. The courtroom smelled of anxiety, sweat mingling with cheap cologne. My parents avoided my gaze. Emily perched between them like a trophy. Tommy wasn't there this time. I'd shielded him. Sarah argued passionately, but the judge's ruling hit like a thunderclap. Eviction upheld. As we filed out, Mom approached, her heels clicking sharply on the tile. Lisa, honey, this doesn't have to ruin us. Her hand reached out, but I recoiled, humiliation flaming my cheeks. You ruined us the day you filed that suit. Dad cleared his throat, his voice gruff. It's business, kiddo. Emily needs a start. Business. We were family. In that instant, cold resolve crystallized. They saw me as expendable. I'd show them the cost. Moving day dawned gray and oppressive, rain slicking the driveway like tears. Tommy clung to my leg as movers hauled boxes into the truck. His small face crumpled. I don't want to go, Mommy. Guilt stabbed deep. This was on them, but he paid the price. We relocated to a cramped apartment downtown, walls thin as paper, sirens wailing through the night. Sleep evaded me, replaced by planning. I journaled feverishly, pages filled with schemes, expose their tax evasions, sabotage Emily's new life in the house. Moral conflict gnawed. Revenge might taint my soul, but betrayal had already scarred it. Obsession grew, a dark companion whispering in the quiet hours. Weeks later, at a family dinner coerced by mutual friends, tension crackled like electricity. The restaurant buzzed with clinking glasses and murmured conversations, but our table was an island of frost. Mom prattled about Emily's housewarming plans, her words laced with pride. She's turning your old garden into a patio. More modern, you know. My fork froze mid-air, anger surging. Tommy, sensing the shift, squeezed my hand under the table. Dad changed the subject, but Emily leaned in, her smile serpentine. Lisa, you should visit sometime. See what I've done. Suppressed rage boiled. I imagined flipping the table, wine staining her designer blouse. Instead I smiled back, voice honeyed. Oh, I will. Sooner than you think. The hint was subtle, but her eyes widened fractionally. Suspense built in that glance. Did she suspect? Alone that night, doubt crept in. Was I becoming the monster they painted me as? Fantasies shifted. Not destruction but justice. I dug deeper, hiring a private investigator on credit. Reports trickled in. Dad's affair years ago, hidden from Mom. Emily's secret debt from failed ventures. Layers peeled back. Their motivations weren't just favoritism. Fear drove them. Dad's business teetered, needing Emily's fresh start to launder assets. Moral complexity emerged. They were flawed, human, but so was I. Yet resentment won. The plan coalesced. Expose it all, but timed for maximum impact. As part one closed, the slow burn ignited. Tommy's innocent question echoed in my mind, fueling the fire. Revenge wasn't impulsive. It was a symphony, building note by note. But as I stared at the ceiling, fear whispered, what if it consumed me? The apartment's fluorescent lights buzzed like angry bees, casting harsh shadows on the walls papered with peeling vinyl. I'd transformed the spare room into a war room, corkboard pinned with photos, documents, and red strings connecting dots like veins in a throbbing heart. 3 months post-eviction, obsession had hardened into resolve. Tommy played in the living room, his laughter a fragile anchor amid the storm. "Mommy, when can we go back home?" he'd ask, and each time, guilt twisted like a knife. But the betrayal's scar tissue toughened me. My parents' mansion loomed in my dreams, Emily's smug face superimposed over it. The plan. Not violence, that was beneath me. No, I'd dismantle their world from the inside, using their secrets as weapons. Started subtly, a whisper campaign. I leaked anonymous tips to the local paper about Dad's shady deals, overlooked building codes in his developments, bribes to inspectors. The first article was a pebble in a pond, ripples spreading. At work, during my night shift at the hospital, colleagues murmured, "Heard about your dad's company? Rough stuff." Humiliation reversed. Now they squirmed. Inner thoughts raced. Was this justice or vengeance? Doubt flickered, but Emily's housewarming invite, arriving like a taunt, quashed it. "Join us for cocktails in our new home." The word ignited fury. I attended, dressed in black like a shadow. The house, my house, gleamed under fresh paint, the garden paved over, erasing Tommy's footprints. Guests milled about, glasses clinking, oblivious to the undercurrent. Mom air-kissed me, her perfume cloying. "So glad you came, dear. Water under the bridge." I nodded, smile brittle. Dad clapped my back, awkward. "Looking good, kid." Emily flitted like a butterfly, showing off renovations. In the kitchen, alone with her, tension thickened. "Like what I've done?" she asked, voice laced with challenge. "It's different," I replied, eyes on the spot where Tommy's height chart once marked the wall, now smoothed over. Suppressed rage hummed. I imagined confessing my plans, watching fear bloom. Instead I planted a seed. "Heard Dad's in hot water. Hope it doesn't affect this place." Her face paled, but she recovered. "What do you mean?" Innocence feigned. Suspense coiled, she knew something. Back home, the investigator's report arrived. Emily had forged documents to secure a loan against the house, using my old renovations as collateral. Heartbreak resurfaced. They'd not only taken it but profited off my sweat. Cold resolve deepened. I hacked their family email. Simple phishing learned from online tutorials. Moral conflict surged. Was I stooping to their level? But obsession silenced it. Emails revealed the truth. Mom had pushed the eviction, fearing my instability after the divorce would drag them down. Dad resisted at first, guilt-ridden but caved. Emily. Opportunistic, whispering poisons. Layers of motivation unfolded. They weren't villains, just selfish, scared. Yet that didn't absolve them. Pacing accelerated. I timed the next strike. A whistleblower packet to the IRS, detailing Dad's offshore accounts. Anonymity cloaked me, but fear gnawed. What if traced? Tommy noticed my distraction, his small hand tugging mine. "You okay, Mommy?" Guilt flooded. Revenge risked his stability. But the alternative. Letting them win, teaching him betrayal goes unpunished. I pressed send, heart pounding like a drum in the quiet night. The fallout began slowly, a slow burn inferno. Dad's business audits hit the news, stocks tumbling. Phone calls came, first pleading then accusatory. "Lisa, if this is you." Mom's voice cracked over voicemail. I ignored them, letting silence speak. Emily showed up at my door, rain-soaked, eyes wild. "What have you done?" she hissed, pushing inside. The apartment smelled of takeout and despair, contrasting her designer coat. "Me. You're the one who stole my home." Dialogue sharpened, revealing cracks. "I needed it. You had your chance." Her admission hung raw. "And Tommy? What about him?" She faltered, guilt flashing. I didn't think. Tension peaked. I could forgive, but resentment barred it. Get out. As she left a twist. Mom's sick, Lisa. Stress from this. Manipulation. Or truth. Doubt resurfaced. Weeks dragged, suspense building like storm clouds. Dad's empire crumbled, lawsuits mounting. At a mediation forced by lawyers, the conference room reeked of desperation. Stale air, coffee dregs. They sat defeated. Mom frail, Dad aged overnight, Emily tear-streaked. We can settle, Dad offered, voice hoarse. Return the house. I countered, cold. Silence. Revelations spilled. Mom's cancer diagnosis. Hidden to avoid burdening me. Heartbreak pierced. They'd betrayed out of fear, protecting Emily as the healthy one. Moral grayness enveloped us. My revenge felt justified yet hollow. Inner conflict raged. End it? Or push further? The dramatic payoff struck unexpectedly. Tommy, overhearing a call, confronted me. Are you hurting Grandma? His eyes, mirrors of mine, brimmed with confusion. Guilt crashed, obsession shattering. I dropped the final bomb, anonymously tipping off Emily's lenders about the forgery, but with a twist. Evidence implicating only her sparing parents. She lost the house in foreclosure, poetic justice circling back. They moved in together, roles reversed, Emily the burden now. In the end, I bought the house at auction, cheap amid scandal. Tommy ran through the garden, regrown, laughing. But as I watched, a shocking twist lingered. Forgiveness? Not fully. The betrayal scarred, revenge's consequences echoing. Cold resolve faded, replaced by weary peace. Yet in quiet moments I wondered, had I become them? The question hung, unresolved, a psychological shadow in our reclaimed home.